Papa Squad, coming at you. Somebody in the comments. Oh, I just looked too. I didn't note your name. Somebody in the comments. Uh, Tylan01. I can't really read it. Oh, no, it's one of the up and down marks. Anyway, Tylan, I hope I'm getting your name right. Thank you for the message, and thank you for telling me how to pronounce Aaliyah. I'm sure I said Aaliyah the other day, and I knew even at the time that it wasn't right, and I was like, why can't I say her name? Aaliyah. Anyway, super successful, very, very young. She first kind of came on the scene when she was on Star Search, which was an old, God, I hate, like, X Factor type show. Those things kind of drive me a little nuts. Um, Anyway, she was on there when she was like 10 years old. She got some attention. Born in Detroit, born in Brooklyn, raised in Detroit. After she was on Star Search, she performed with some other people, Gladys Knight, and ended up getting signed to a record label and working on a bunch of different stuff in her teenage years. Was mentored and apparently illegally married to R. Kelly. That might have been a clue. And anyway, she ended up passing away at 22 years old in a plane crash in Jamaica, returning from filming a video. Um, I mean, just got to the end of the runway, plane crashed, exploded, everybody on board was killed. Totally terrible. I do remember hearing about this, and this was 2001? Yeah, 2001. Um, the song we're going to listen to is from an earlier release. I think it came out in 96, so she would have been like 16. The reason we are doing this is because, I don't remember if I said this, Tylan, in his comment, or Ty, I hope I can say that, mentioned that her birthday would have just been 2 days ago. So she would have been, what? Well, she's 10 years younger than me, so she would have been 42. Um, Crazy, crazy stuff. It's always weird when somebody who I have a good friend who actually died at about 23 years old, and it's so weird to think about never got that additional 20, 30, 40, 50 years of life and like what could have happened and where they would be now. And it's a shame that she passed away because I'm sure she had a lot more great stuff to produce. What we're going to listen to today is if Your Girl Only Knew, which was one of her hits off of I forget the name of the album. I don't know what it's from. Doesn't matter. What I do remember is that it was this album was also produced by Timbaland and Missy Elliott, who she worked with on this album. And I like Missy Elliott, and I listened to the first few seconds, and I can absolutely hear Missy Elliott's influence on this. I'm not 100% sure if she actually had anything to do with the song, so it could be all Timbaland. I don't know, but let's jump in here and see. Happy belated and unfortunately posthumous birthday to Aaliyah. Yes, now I'm confusing it in my head again. And this is if your jeez, if your girl only knew, if your Earl only knew. Okay, just under 5 minutes long. Let's give it a listen. She looks cool. She looks like. Also, it would have been about the time period for the original Matrix stuff too. See, that sounds like Missy Elliott, doesn't it? Really nice beat. Really a nice kind of sultry-ish voice. It doesn't have like the full sultry going on, but she does have like a little bit of a slightly breathy, slightly growly sort of voice. Growly's not really, kind of, this like smoky sort of voice. Really sounds good. This is definitely a pop song. I mean, just from the sound of it, it sounds like a poppy song that you'd hear on the radio. You wouldn't necessarily hear it in the club. Certainly, people would play it a ton just on their own because it's just a solidly produced song with a good beat, and it sounds great.
To talk to me, she will probably leave you alone, probably curse you out and unplug her phone. She'd be glad she was gone. She wouldn't have to worry. If your girl only knew that I don't want.
So these are interesting lyrics because it's basically talking about a woman, we assume her, getting hit on by guys, and she's now writing a song about these guys hitting on her who are wanting to get with her despite the fact that they have a boyfriend. And I'm sure this is like an actual real song that I don't know if she actually wrote her own material. I didn't even think to look that up, but she sounds like somebody who could write her own or could not write her own. But absolutely, this sort of thing would have happened all the time, and just to have that thought of like, you have somebody at home, like, why are you hitting? Is it just because I'm me and whatever? She was pretty famous really fast, so it just must have been kind of a real mind twister, and it's a great choice for a song for her if she didn't write it. It's an even better choice if she did write it, because it really says a lot about her that thought was going on in her head at whatever, 15, 16 years old, something like that. And if she didn't write it, it's still just a perfect one for her, because you can completely understand somebody having those thoughts in her position.
To kick it with you. If your girl could only see how you be calling me, getting fresh with me, she would probably leave you alone, probably curse you out and unplug her phone. She'd be glad, she'll be glad.
So, this is just the chorus right now. Listen to the actual music, because it is super, super simple. Like, incredibly simple. The drum beat itself is, like, almost nothing. Like, there is not a lot there, and yet there's plenty going on in this song to keep you interested.
She was gone. She wouldn't have to worry.
Very simple.
Crazy to put up with you, but I won't be.
It's a nice change. I like that.
It ain't easy to get you know, baby. It's done to put up with you. I won't be no bumpy like you. It ain't easy to get me. She will probably leave you
Nice.
alone. Probably curse you out and unplug her.
It's kind of, considering the subject matter, basically talking about like, hey, if your girl knew you were hitting on me, she'd leave you, and your life would suck and whatever. But it's a really sexy song, given the fact that it's about cheating on somebody and kind of the consequences of that. That's sort of a weird choice. Like, oh, let's make it kind of sultry and sexy, and yeah, it's about cheating. But like the consequences of cheating.
That she was gone. She wouldn't have to worry. She will probably leave you alone. Probably curse you out and unplug her phone.
Nice voice. nice change up.
If your girl only knew.
So that downbeat that comes in really hard in this portion of the song is interesting because it sounds fake to me. It sounds like it's a synthesizer, and I mean, it's been 20 years since this song. No, more than that, since this song came out. So I'm curious if that was like the best the technology could do at the time or what. But listen, hopefully there'll be a couple more. I'll back up just a tiny bit so you can hear a couple of the beats. But it really doesn't sound like an actual snare or whatever it would have been as an actual instrument. It's kind of weird.
What you saying? What you saying? What you saying? Huh? What you saying? Huh? If your girl only knew. What you saying? What you saying? What you saying? Huh? What you saying? What you saying? What you saying? Huh? You ain't saying nothing, baby. If your girl only knew. What you saying? What you saying? What you saying? Huh? What you saying? What you saying?
Surprisingly long song for what it is. This gives me a very 80s feel right here. That music. There it is again. It's kind of a clap, too. I like that. Nice. Yeah, that's a perfectly fine song. I have zero issues with that song. It's kind of fun, kind of sexy, kind of easy to listen to. I can see why it was a hit, and yeah, absolutely. And it also talks about something that people understand in their own life, like let alone actually being a famous, attractive young woman. Um, I think everybody at some point has been hit on by somebody who's already with someone, and that can be a little weird. And to have that happen all the time, yeah, you might want to write a song about it. Anyway, good suggestion. Happy birthday, sort of, I guess. It kind of sucks. And hey, if you're an Aaliyah fan, I wish she'd stuck around too, because she obviously had a lot more that she could have done with her talent and her life, and it would have been great to see. Bob Squat, checking out. Come back tomorrow. I'm going to do a song that's actually not listed as being a hip hop song, but I think it actually is. See you then. Bye bye.